Should I be like this?
Okay, action.
Hi, my name is Liz Veda. I own and operate B.Willow, and in this video, I'll be showing you how to create a tropical terrarium using a glass cube. The definition of a terrarium is simply a glass container that you plant into. So we have different examples on the table, whether that's an almost sealed tropical terrarium like this, or this flask, or more of an open terrarium like this beaker. To start, I'll walk you through all of the different materials that we'll be using to build our terrarium. Since our container does not have a drainage hole, we'll be using activated charcoal, sand, and gravel to lay down some drainage layers to start. Activated charcoal is exactly what's in a water filter, so it helps detoxify and prevent root rot from happening. Followed by sand and a layer of gravel, which help to pull excess water, creating a separation from your soil layer and your bottom drainage layers. Next, we have tropical soil, as well as a couple different decorative rocks that we'll use at the end, and 2 tropical ferns. The first step is to add a thin layer of activated charcoal. You'll add just enough so that you can't see through to the bottom of the container. You'll add about the same amount of sand as charcoal. Next, I'm going to add about 1 inch thick of gravel. The gravel is really important for airflow. All of the gaps between the stones just help create nice pockets of air, which help prevent root rot. It can be really helpful to pick your container up and look at it at eye level to see if you do have just about 1 inch, or if you might have too much, which I have a little too much, so I'm going to take a little bit out. Next, I'm going to add about 1.5 inches of tropical soil. This will give us enough depth to start planting our little tropical plants, but still rooms that we can add a little bit more soil to really get them planted and in place. To get your plants out of their nursery pots, all you have to do is give them a squeeze, turn them sideways, and pull out. Rather than just taking it like this and popping it into your terrarium, first what you want to do is just loosen the soil a bit so it doesn't look like it just came right out of a pot. A lot of our mini tropicals come with a biodegradable planting medium, which you can leave on, or if you'd rather, you can just pull it right off like I'm doing. So as you can see, this plant does have some roots, but it's not crazy root bound or super minimally rooted, so it's definitely at a good place to get planted into our terrarium. So first what I'm going to do is just create a little divot. Use one hand to place my plant into the terrarium. Use the other to add a little bit more soil. And what I'm going to do is take this excess soil and just put it all around the sides of the plant and gently tap down. Now I'm just making another small divot for my second plant to go into. And what's important is to make sure that the base of your plant is just below the rim of your terrarium. That way when you do go to water, you don't end up overflowing and spilling water everywhere. So I'm just adding a little bit more soil, making sure we're covering up all of the roots, and doing so all around 360 each of the plants. Once I do that, I'm just gently packing down. Now that I'm finished planting, we can do some decorating. So we love to add varieties of different stones to the surface of the soil just to give our terrariums a more natural look that's completely aesthetic for these sorts of plants. So it's optional. You don't have to add any decorative stones, but you can if you'd like to. So I think I'm gonna do a little bit of a pattern where I have 2 different kinds of stones across from each other diagonally. If you do have some extra gravel, you can certainly throw some of that on top too for a little decorative touch. And that's about it. That's how you create a tropical terrarium using a small glass cube. In terms of caring for your tropical terrarium, there's definitely a few things you should keep in mind. In terms of light, all of our mini tropicals that we use for terrariums will do great in a bright light. They do not necessarily need any direct sun, but you also don't want them to be completely in the dark in a room where you have to turn a light on to read, let's say. So in a room with a window, but they don't necessarily have to be sitting right on the windowsill. In terms of watering, what you'll notice when you first water your terrarium is that the soil layer will turn a much darker color and it will look almost like it's sticking to the side of the glass. So depending on the types of plants you've used, you're either going to need to keep your soil slightly damp to the touch at all times, or you'll be able to let a portion of the soil dry out. So these are little baby ferns that are very thin-leaved, so they do rely on the soil being consistently damp or else they will start to quickly dehydrate. There are other various plants that we use that are thicker leaved and thicker stemmed, and they can tolerate a little bit more of a drought in between a full soak. So when you do go to water, you'll just gently saturate it all the way around, letting the water seep through the soil layer. You start to see water pooling in your drainage layers and it's still not draining on the surface of your soil, go ahead and just pour a little bit of it out. That'll just help make sure you're not gonna potentially rot your root system. Thanks for watching our tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at hello@bwillow.com and we would love to help you out.